Oh, okay. I'm ready whenever you are. Uh-huh. Oh, you guys are okay. good afternoon, and greetings to my villagers. What's the word in the village today? I think I hear, up, you mighty people. I think we can work with that. We always have when we were at our lowest, and that the periods between 1619 and 1865, and ongoing. It hasn't stopped. But I want to first thank my team, Sheila, Juanita, my promo crew, my engineer, King Norm, and my co-host, Queen Rose Moore, who's not with me today. She's on a birthday outing. Her kids, her children, are taking her to a spa. I know she's going to tell us about it when she gets back. Have fun, Rose. Enjoy. And my youth co-host, Elijah, is off for the summer. And our students from Williams ACAP, coming from Maymay's Den, a name we gave them in honor of my dear sister, whom I miss every day. She was she was their first instructor, and of course, you know me. I'm Ruby Williams Shivers, your unapologetic amateur, still looking for experts in Africanism. I am so excited with whom I have a guest today. You know, I started this podcast approximately 2.5 years ago, and my first co-host was a young brother whom I had known for some time, but never as a co-host. This brother came on and made my day. We brought a guest on, a poet, that totally blew me away. These two brothers got together and established their own podcast, Poetically Speaking, and the place of the spoken word, and have captivated the town. I tell you, everybody's listening in, and boy, you all are dynamite. You know, this is part of our village concept, nation building through creating society. While we're doing that, you know, just living, we do the spoken word, we do music, entertainment, and everything. We just live. You all know when I started this podcast, Unapologetic Amateur looking for experts in Africanism, my laser focus was for us to restore what had been stripped from us, you know, through that slave and other things, to restore what had been stripped from us. But because I still feel that way, I believe until we are fully recovered from the mental stripping we went through, it's going to be more difficult for us to regain our fullness. But what I've come to accept and know is that we have, as African people, we've always multitasked. We always had to. We always did because we could. You know, being the creators of mankind, we had to. Walk and chew gum at the same time. As I said, when we were building the pyramids, we were also creating arts. We created music, even more recent, during and after enslavement. We call it human trafficking because that's what it was. We multitask, worked the fields, tend the houses. We nursed their babies and still made music, spoken word, and we haven't stopped through all of that. So evidence proved that we have changed the course of a nation before, and we can and will do it again. We just got to be determined. We got to be intentional. We got to be deliberate and focused. As I emphasized on this podcast, the mental chain of slavery is still present in a lot of us, and it did not disappear with emancipation. Slavery left scars on our bodies and cobwebs clogging our brain. But because our brains are so melanized, now I don't know, I just created that dynamic. But it's so melanized, we stand in full measure of our power. But we see we've got to know that even as great as we are, we are still human. So when I hear the steady drumbeat of reasserting ourselves to our original selves, I wonder, how does one do that? Is it something I can do naturally, by osmosis? Or would I need help as any other catastrophic event? What happens to humans? Like a heart attack, pandemic, cancer? Or are we just supposed to cure our own selves? These are questions that we will always ponder. But right now, I'm going to bring my guest on. I can't wait. This guy, Ron and Terry and Ron. Now I'm going to read their bio because I wouldn't go further without it. I tell you, I just was blown away with what these guys have done before. They're not new on the scene, you know. Let me see if I can get into the bio here. Okay. The first one is this Mr. Terry Benjamin? I think this is Mr. Terry Benjamin's bio. Just going to read it. This is just part of what this man does. He's going to tell us when he gets here. Okay. Terry W. Benjamin, received his BA in journalism from Rider University and studied playwriting at the Mason Gross School of Fine Arts. Born in Staten Island, New York, and raised in Elizabeth, New Jersey, my old stomping ground, Benjamin is the creator of the concept rap music as literature, and as a result have been featured on PBS, public broadcast station, and various publications. He has hosted many seminars on hip-hop music and culture and is currently teaching English-related courses at colleges and universities throughout New Jersey. He currently resides in Rahway, New Jersey. Welcome, my brother. Welcome, my brother. We're going to get to you, but I'm going to have to read the bio from my other brother. Okay. You can tell I'm not good at this stuff. I tell you, let me see what I got to do now here. Okay. I'm going to ask Terry to come up here right now and help me find what I'm looking for. I mean, Terry or Ron, you can. Okay, I know where it is. Okay, I see it now. All right, let me do this. Oh, Ron, I have your book. I don't have to go through my. Oh my goodness! This is what it says about the author. He said, Ron is the author, is a poet writing from a creative perspective. And does he write from a creative perspective? His passion over several years has been interacting with nature's scenery and people, from teaching Sunday school to becoming a mediator trainer. Inspired by words of wisdom deep within, Ronald C. McCrae seeks to build upon those intuitive conversations that levels out the motion of understanding the organic flavors of life, seeing colors through an array of images where life comes alive. Those elements are what encourages the ability to look beyond what we celebrate, sensate and see an artistic vision. And now this is one of his books, We See Colors. Welcome, guys. I am just so thrilled to have you both here in our company. As I said before, I watch you, and other folks who've been watching you and made great reviews about you. Now, you guys, what bring you here today?
Well, you know, it's funny, as I was telling Ron, and as we had a conversation before, it's like a homecoming.
Right.
For me, because, again, I was a guest several times, and then as we were walking out of the building one day, you asked me what I considered being a permanent co-host. And I did that, and had the opportunity to, when you went on vacation, I did the show by myself. But before I did that, you had asked me before when I couldn't be at the show to have someone who could fill in. The only person I could think about was Ron McCray. So he came on, and he was a co-host. And so it's almost like a homecoming for the both of us.
Definitely.
And then we went on, and now we have our own show, Poetically Speaking, the place for the spoken word.
Okay. All right. So now when is that comes on? When the show?
Yeah, we're on Thursday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Thursday, it's what, 5 to 6, right? And then Sunday from 6 to 7. I get a little mixed up because it seems that we're constantly doing the program, but I know it's definitely Thursday and Sunday.
That's okay. We'll get it together before you leave here.
Yeah.
Now, Ron, give us a little information about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things I believe, even as you read in my bio, you know, from teaching Sunday school and doing mediation and everything else,
Right.
you know, I got into writing, which I didn't realize until I was in school. You know, I went to school, I got a BA in Christian counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that point on, when I had to write a paper, you know, you start writing a paragraph and all of a sudden things started hitting you inspirationally when you didn't know it. I didn't know it.
That's right.
And so one thing led to the other, and I had written my first poem, which is called Serenity, you know, and that's what's important to me, and everything else really fell in place. And then even as Terry and yourself mentioned, you know, becoming a co-host, one of the things I always believe in, and I learned this a long time ago, always be ye ready, because you never know when you might be called upon
Exactly.
in any given situation. But you have to know just to react. You may not know exactly what's going to take place, but the bottom line is things fall in place the way it's supposed to, even though you may not know it.
That's right.
So having the opportunity even to be a guest on your show a while back, and then also co-hosting with Terry, and then end up ultimately, you know, with our own podcast. So to me, it's truly a blessing, you know, to have that opportunity. And I'm always thankful for those who have opened up the door.
Yeah.
Because I have a journal that I have written too. I forgot what my journal was.
Don't worry about that.
So,
I feel like I'm not by myself then.
had it not been for, where will I be? Where will I be had it not been for? So that ties into the door of opportunity. And these are the things we talk about and the things I write about, you know, because it's very, you know, vary from different perspectives, and that's what's important.
That's good. And Terry, I was thinking just the other day, you talk about me and bringing you on here, but I remember years ago, I just can't recall. Maybe you will. You had talked one year, you was in Elizabeth, I remember, you were a poet, and you had called me to be on, do something for you. I think the moderator, MC, whatever you was doing. Do you recall that?
No, I don't. But you know, what I do remember is when you had a cable show some time ago, and you know, I said that you were a pioneer in that because you had your cable show and I was on a cable show and that kind of thing. And then I remember one time you had sent me a copy of a manuscript that you were working on, and you asked me, you know, to look it over and maybe give you some feedback. And I wrote a little essay, just an essay review. Which wound up to be on the back of the book, much to my surprise.
Yes.
And, but
Beautiful review.
But again, it was a thing where, and I think I know I started the essay with, I said, this is a book that we didn't know that we needed, but now that it's here, we can really appreciate that. And again, and I always think that
I was really blown away, and since you mentioned it, I'm going to take the liberty of reading it.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not? It was
Yeah, we can do that,
most
yes.
amazing. It says here, Why Shouldn't I Cry? That's the name of my book. Why
Yes.
Shouldn't I Cry? And Terry did the honor of putting this forward on it for me. Why Shouldn't I Cry? Ode to the Black Man by Ruby Shivers is that book we didn't see coming, but now that it is here, it must be embraced like that lifeline we weren't expecting, but know we have to grab onto to save a life, and more specifically, the lives of our black men, young and old. Sister Shivers, oh, I better get this phone away from here. Okay. Sister Shivers deep dives into the topic as a self-proclaimed amateur, but her insights are timely and prophetic, pointing to how far we have come, but how far we still need to go. She urges our experts, in quote, to take control of the narrative, the story we have been told and the story we tell ourselves, and allow the black man to see himself as he truly needs to see himself. In the light of our heritage and legacy, in this slim volume, Sister Shivers includes some personal history with unsung heroes, which include husbands, fathers, and sons, and personal experiences that illustrate the power of these men in her life. This talented amateur goes where we need to go and lights a candle to show the way. And I read that because when you brought it up, I was so so taken aback by the the book is actually, in essence, the whole told some of what you just said, and I'm glad that you could receive it that way, and I hope everybody else does. But I thought it was just a beautiful write-up.
And it's so funny, and Ron could attest to that as well. I mean, sometimes when you write something and you don't see it for a long time, and then you read it again, and you said, I wrote that?
Yeah, right. I do the same thing. The very same thing, I tell you. So now, Ron, you know, I've known you forever, Terry.
Yes.
But I didn't know you had so much writing in your wherever. So you've written a few things yourself.
Oh, yeah, I have. And it's so funny because people understand that every day I write a music blog. It's called Soul Music Prescription, album by album, song by song. And what I do is I take an album, and if there's 10 songs in the album, I'll write an essay about each one of the songs.
Okay.
This week I'm writing about Valerie Simpson. Her first solo debut album was called Exposed. Now her husband Nick, he did the production and also wrote many of the songs, but this was her time to sort of step out. One of my favorite shows on TV is Unsung. And I said to myself, I would like to write for that particular program, and so I developed my own Unsung, and it's so funny because I'm now in season 9.
Okay.
Season 9, episode 3 or 4, and it makes me laugh because I write every day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people understand that, you know, there are people who write, but there are people who live the life of a writer. And only thing to update on your particular bio that you read is that I'm retired.
Yeah.
And I retired at 69 because at that particular point, I just wanted to do more writing. Yeah. And it's so funny that I'm at the point in my life, telling my brother here, on the 14th, I'm going to have a milestone birthday. I'll be 75.
Okay,
and I mention it only because at 75 for myself, it's really like I'm at a plateau.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting ready to go through another journey. But again, I always thank you for helping me because, again, I retired as a college administrator, and then I retired as a college professor, and now I'm in this whole podcast realm because of you.
Never would have thought. Huh? But I read where you had it was even published. You have even published other books, and I didn't know that you back in the day had done some publishing of your own.
Well, I had a publishing company. It was called In-House Publishing.
Okay.
And we published several of my novels and short story collections, and then also published other writers as well. And the thing about that, it was a little different back in the day because at this point they had distributors. Yeah. So you would take your books to New York City, and they would like take 4 or 5 books, and then they would just spread them all over the place. And never forget, to make a long story short, I was on the train. I was going to Newark, and a young lady, she was sitting across from me, and she went to her bag and pulled out one of my books.
Oh,
and I was so excited that I told her, I said, you're reading one of my books. And she looked at me like I was crazy, and I had to bring up my ID.
Okay.
that is really, really my book.
Yeah,
but the thing is, I'm at the point in my life where I consider myself a full-time writer because that's all I do now. Yeah. And the thing is, I think with all of us who do what we do it not for the money, not for the fame, not for the fortune, but there's so many things going on in this
in
life.
you, and it just got to come out of
you. You got to.
Same way with the poetry. Did you bring any of your poetry?
Oh, you know we did.
Poetry today? Yeah, we got to hear some from you. I wonder what's got you started and what motivated you and how you were motivated for poetry.
You know, what motivates me and how I got started, and even as Terry indicated, it has become a constant.
That's right.
I mean, even when we're doing our show, I can listen to a conversation. I might write something down, and Terry know I may write something down, but next thing you know, I done wrote a piece.
That's
By
right.
the next time we
That's
come
right.
together
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a conversation. And a lot of my pieces are centered around a combination. You know, it's not drama or this and that, but mostly about self and then romance and relationship with life in itself.
Yeah.
You know, I have another book too, which is called the Archaeological Cafe.
Okay.
You see, and that's what's important. It really looks at yourself and delve into yourself and look at the treasures within.
Right.
You know, you'd be surprised all that you have within inside yourself. However, you could become a writer, a painter, a song, whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's
right.
there, but you have to dig for it. And this is what an archaeologist does.
That's right.
They go looking for and they find treasure. And we always say one person's trash is somebody else's treasure.
Right,
But
right.
what constitutes trash? And so I'm always writing, you know, even if, you know, we get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of it because Terry bring all these books and we use it for lit. And next thing you know, I'm going home, find a book on the shelf, and one thing leads to the other. But I enjoy it, you know, and you don't realize a lot of times that you find yourself constantly writing.
Yeah.
And so I'm on a computer day and night or whatever. Whenever something hit me, and that's what, you know, I'm inspired to do.
Yeah.
You know, and then like Terry was also saying, I can write something, then go back and realize when I read it, I'm saying, whoa, did I write that?
Right.
Right,
That
right,
You know,
was,
it's
I tell
interesting,
you.
you know, so I'm inspired to do that. And we also always tell anybody and everybody, look inside yourself and you can do it. I mean, whether it's a word or thought, because even the best writers in the world
That's right. That's right.
keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
They edit their own stuff, they go back, they throw it in the garbage, and
Definitely.
go back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
everything that appears to be trash is really treasure when
Right.
you go back. And there's a time and season,
That's right.
you know, when you actually bring it to light. And so here in short, the last piece, I've been writing so much, I forgot, I probably have another 9 books to put out.
He does.
Yeah.
You know,
He
so I have
definitely
to put those together and start with the
Yeah.
other one. But I have a list of my next 2 books really to put out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything today that you could share with us that show us a little bit of what you're talking about?
I always have something. Terry do the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Be the
I
also
make him have
ready.
something.
Yeah,
You
be
know,
the also ready.
I push him, and it's so funny with Ron is that we've been doing the program since January, and because we're on twice a week,
Right.
there's a lot of material that we have gone through, and he amazes me. We have a segment in the program called Ron's Poetry,
Yeah.
and I tell you, Ruby, I'm excited about that as anything else because I don't know what he'll come up with, you know.
Yeah.
But again, because he is so creative.
Very creative.
And so in tune with what we're doing. And I told him, I said, you have to really, one of your poetry books, you got to, that poetry book has to be poetically speaking. You know, it got to do that because he actually wrote a poem for our theme song.
Okay.
You know, so it's a beautiful thing. And like I said, the brother is just amazing in terms of his creativity.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. That's that's our nature. That's what we are.
Yeah.
That's the African thing.
Yes, exactly.
Always.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let me do a short one, and then I'll come back with.
Okay.
And I just give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here let me do this one because I find this one is motivational, you know,
Okay.
and it really leaves a food for thought. You know, inspiration, motivational birth of life for each day to remember to fill thy soul with the joy of living. Praise the Lord, O my soul, O my God, you are very great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty. He wraps himself in light as with a garment. He stretches out heavens like a tent and lays the beams of his upper chamber on their waters. He makes the clouds his chariot and rides on the wings of the wind. He makes wind his messenger, flames of fire his servant. He sets the earth on his foundation. It can never be moved. You covered it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. Psalms 105. Psalms 104, 1 through 6. Surely the Lord has set the course of everyday existence to feel and believe that he is now and forevermore, according to his promise. He is the one that wakes us up and breathes the breath of life, penetrating our soul to rise and glorify him according to his grace and mercy. So just be thankful for his goodness sake.
Yes,
Excellent,
that's good.
see?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a
Uh-huh.
lot. Yeah.
So is that your more recent one, or that was one from before?
This is actually from my second book,
Oh,
Archaeological
okay.
Cafe.
Now, was this your first book, We See Colors?
Yes, we
Oh,
see
that's your
colors.
uh-huh.
The organic flavors of life.
Right, right. The organic flavors of life. Uh-huh. Now, when you decide that you're gonna write something, I know you say that you're always writing and writing and writing, but do you have to go in safe places, or just anywhere you might think of it? You be sleeping, you wake up and you say, "Well, I'm gonna write," or is there a place you go and just say, "No, I gotta concentrate and do it here"?
You just answered it. Right here. I can, in
Whatever.
this conversation, something that hit me. I can read my own stuff and say it differently. So
That's right,
wherever
that's right.
I can have a conversation. I can be someplace. I can listen to something, hear something, whether it's on a podcast or Terry and I or whoever. And whenever something hit me, even in a conversation, I could be talking with somebody. Somebody might say, "Well, now you're speaking poetry." I don't even realize a lot of times.
Right.
But it's a flow. It's natural flow that comes out.
Okay.
So even if I'm home, something might hit me. So it's at any given point in time.
So
and
how
place.
far back did that start? Was that your aim when you started out, or as a kid, and all of a sudden you start writing? Or some of us, those of us who are comedians, we kind of know it from birth
That's right.
that we this, that.
know-
How soon did you realize it?
One of the things I say, something's always there whether you realize it or not. But when it hit me is when, as I indicated earlier, when I was in school, in class. This goes back in 2000, I think 7 or 8, maybe 7 or 8. I mean 2000, not 7 or 8. Yeah, 2000. 7 or 8, somewhere around there. Okay, and that's when you have your assignment. You write the papers and answer question, all this and that, the other. So starting back then, and I think it became full around 2010. And I found myself inspiring myself from the first page that I had to write, and really realized that even when I wrote that first paper, that ultimately became my first poetry piece. And the interesting piece with that, I have a CD behind it with the music. And so I went to a friend of mine, after I finished that, went to class and everything else, I went to a friend of mine who have since long passed, and said, because he had a recording studio. And I said, his name was Roosevelt Washington. I said, "Hey, man, I have this piece. I'd just like to put on a CD so I can hear myself to see what it sounds like." He said, "Let me hear it."
Yeah.
I came out with the first line. He said, "I got something." Now, that told me he was a genius in his own way. He can hear something and start writing and put music behind it. And from that point on, and I say it all the time, even on our podcast, that was my first child. I can't have no biological child, but that was my first child. And the music is so in tune and so connected, it's perfect. And matter of fact, honestly, it's just like when we do our show, and Terry came up with the music behind it. It's a connection.
That's right.
And that in itself tells you, even as a writer, when something hit you, there's a flow. And if there's the right music, or you're in a recording studio, the author, the host of that recording studio can listen. He or she herself can tell exactly what music, what key to put behind, the story and tell it. And I think that is absolutely fabulous when somebody can pick up and make something part of a relationship. And that is absolute gift in itself.
Definitely it
That's
is.
beautiful.
Yeah. I, through my day, I've written a couple of songs. Well, my sisters and I had a group called The Phenomena.
Yes.
I don't know, Terry, if you ever
I
heard us
remember that.
in
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
But we sang.
Yes,
I never
yes.
was a writer as such, but my manager asked us to write a couple of songs, and I ended up writing a song called
that.
"You Gave Me Happiness."
Wow.
It was the song, one of the songs that was eventually put on record, and my sister was the lead singer. And it's just interesting, though, how you pour yourself into something once you know that you need to do it.
That's right. That's
It
right.
just come a couple of words to it. I won't go through all of it because I don't remember it. But I remember it said, "You gave me happiness that could have been sorrow. You gave me today. I'm going to beg you for tomorrow." And now you begging a person for tomorrow. That's a little weird. But
I
then
like that. I
but
like
what
that.
happens is it's in your soul,
That's right.
and then you when it comes out to the person who's hearing it may take another view of it,
That's right.
but generally you're putting something out there that other folks will relate to.
Yeah.
You know, you have an opinion of what you're doing and know what you're doing, but they will feel the same thing sometime as you, and maybe different, but sometime.
Yeah.
And Terry,
Yeah.
so I know that you said you have a music blog that you do now.
Yes. Yes.
And I read it, yeah, so I know you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But what has been the response to it?
Well, again, it's been very well because again, you have to understand, and it's so funny because I used to like post one essay a day, but then I was writing so much that sometimes I would post 2 or 3 or 4. But the point about the music to me is that I write about the artist, but one of the features, just to sort of piggyback on what you were saying, is the lyrics. You know, I find for myself that the lyrics is poetry.
Yeah.
We have a segment on our podcast called "Music Is Lit." Where I actually read the lyrics as poetry.
Yeah.
And I think for us, especially our generation, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, that music really was the soundtrack of our youth.
Yeah.
And I don't even listen to anything that's sort of current. I go back to that because it's so deep, especially in terms of the lyrics. If you look at the lyrics by Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield, you'll find out a lot of things that they were talking about back then are things we're dealing with right now. I talked to my son, and he is a type of person. This is all the music that he listens to, and he has it in his car. So my grandchildren listen to it as well. So that's the connection
Yeah.
for us in our history. Because I think as writers, we all want to write of a better world.
Right.
You know, we want to be the change that we want to see in the world. And that's why I believe that all art is political, because it's about change.
And you're talking about how we want to reflect that and want other folks to understand that.
Yes.
Now I know that you've been a professor,
Yes.
so I want you to tell me about that and how you think your knowledge of what you just said could relate to the students that you taught and how it affected them, or do you think it did? And what do you think about now in today's time when they're taking everything out of, particularly us as African people? We need to be reconnected with that what we are,
Well,
and we are music, we are poetry, we are all that.
Everything.
And so, what was your experience while you were teaching?
Well,
the
my
students?
experience was sort of unique because you have to understand when I started teaching, there were very few black professors. And the thing is with me is that I taught at 2 colleges and 2 universities at the same time. And so I'm traveling from Essex County College to Union College and Jersey City State University and King University. And sometime I'd be in Cranford in the morning, and I'd be in Newark in the afternoon, and then on Saturday I'd be at Jersey State University College. But the thing that was unique about me is that when I came into it, I came out of the whole hip hop sensibility, and I call my style edutainment, education and entertainment. So I made kids laugh and just have a good time. And also when I came in, they had these big books of literature. And they had, I call a black section and a white section. And all my colleagues taught the white section, like the Robert Frost and all those other people. And I taught the Maya Angelou and the August Wilson and that kind of thing. And I was very popular because I was giving the students really a wider understanding of literature. Then I
Yeah.
would bring in music videos. Then I would bring in guest artists and that kind of thing.
You was even from the woke generation then.
Exactly, I was.
Way
I
before
was,
they
yeah.
popularized.
Yeah, we didn't call it that.
Right.
But the thing was that I was able to do that because I had really no restraints because what I was doing was was unique, and my reputation had spread throughout New Jersey, and people would call me. A lot of jobs I got because other colleges had called me and asked me to come in. And when I retired, at age 69, they had a big celebration for me at Essex County College. And they would say, Dr. Benjamin, Dr. Benjamin. And I said, you know, I don't have a doctorate. Yeah, but, well, you don't have a PhD, but where did you get your master's? I don't have a master's. You don't have a master's? Yeah, I don't have a master's. I don't have a PhD or anything like that. But I knew how to teach because I studied pedagogy, which is the art of teaching.
Right.
And what happened is, I think the secret of my success was that I overcompensated. I wanted to make sure that I was on point. You know, they have what they call imposter syndrome. You're in a position and you're not sure that you belong there. So what you do is you overcompensate. So what happened, I just sort of pushed myself to the point where I was on the authority, basically about black literature. And then I had the whole concept rap music as literature, and I said rap music is African American poetic expression. And I was on BGO and in magazines and newspapers and that kind of thing. So again, I had a ball.
Wow. Yeah, sounds like you did. Sounds like you did, and I know the children taught a lot. It's funny, the word you just brought up, pedagogy. That's the summer word for my students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm just having to introduce them to it. I said because it's seldom used, but at least you need, when you hear the word, you'll know what you're listening to. Right. So that's a great thing. Yes, but you know, I was going to ask you about now when you were at the college. You know, you was telling me about an incident at the library because people know you around. You've been very well a professor around town. And give us a little story about when you was in the library and the person didn't know that the person they were referring to on the wall was you, was talking about you.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of that, you know, and what had happened was that they would, because I was at different colleges, and a lot of them couldn't remember my name. Yeah, that tall black guy with the glasses. and then they said, yeah, well, he's always talking about rap music and hip-hop and whatnot, and his son is a break dancer and this and that kind of thing. And they could relate to me in a very, very real way because I wasn't trying to, you know, because for me, they call me Professor Benjamin, but for me, I never got caught up in those titles.
Right.
Because my whole thing is that if you are in that particular field, you should know that field very deeply. And my whole thing was that I wanted to make sure that when I went into the classroom that I gave the students the best that I could, and that meant that I really had to study.
And that's important because, you know, that's what it's all about today is us regaining, knowing who we are, where we came from. And it's going to be about us bringing our history in when never was in, but at least now that they're taking a little bit out that we have. I'm going to have, in addition to having my brother in there bring up a piece that I always try to, I have 3 segments to my show now. I have, let's say, for information purposes. That way we can be apprised of what they're taking away from us, the history that we sometimes don't get in the school. And then I have the other segment, I bring on the African brother from Burkina Faso, Brother Abraham. And but we don't have that today, but I'll bring that next week. But right now, if Noam want to bring that on, he can, so we can get a dose of what we're trying to do around here. And then after that, I want to see my villagers. Okay. Not the Abraham. The let me see which one. Oh, the one. I don't see any of those up here. The one you showed me before when I was out there. I don't see it here. See, I don't see it here. The one you showed me before.
Slave separation.
Maybe that one. Yeah, slave separation. I think that's the one.
In 19th century Louisiana, black women in state prisons were locked in cells with men. No separation, no mercy. Many became pregnant behind bars, subjected to unimaginable abuse. But the horror didn't stop there. In 1848, Louisiana passed a law that turned these babies into property of the state. They grew up in those same prison walls, shackled to their mother's fate until age 10. At 10, they were ripped away, auctioned off like cattle to the highest bidder. The state profited from this inhumanity, using the money to fund public schools, but only for white children. Black children were sold to pay for an education they'd never receive, a system built on generational theft and suffering. Although these are the stories you'll never learn about in school, we will continue teaching the truth about our history. In 19th century Louisiana,
Okay. Now, I bring these on intentionally, purposely, and for a reason. Because sometimes when we hear someone like myself who constantly bring the attention about who we were, how we were, what happened, there are folks who really have a problem with hearing it because they think it's just too painful. But unless you know your situation, you'll be totally shocked and surprised at what Trump is doing out here now. So for the ones of you, I'm from the silent generation. And I know a little bit about what happened, you know, on a physical way. Most of us read some of the books, but I know what happened. And I know it could come again. And I know if we're not aware and if not conscious, if we don't go out and do what we need to do as vote and stuff like that, I'm going to be talking about that. Because we got to rethink what we maybe have thought before was against our better judgment. That's what one of the things that I'm trying to do as we speak when I say I have a two-pronged approach now. Because initially when I first came on, when I first brought this show, my main laser focus interest was just to recapture, restore that what had been damaged to us. But when Trump came in, I realized I had to do a double take on what my concentrations up here were going to be. I have to have a two-pronged approach to trying to deliver us from the mess that we're in. One is I'm going to continue to talk and to tell you that we need, as any other major catastrophe, and we had gone through major catastrophe when we came through slavery, or I can go through the list of what happened when they stole us from our place, brought us over the Middle Passage, and put hoisted up on the slave block. I can go on and on and on. But what happened is some of us, because we either didn't read about it, and we certainly didn't experience it. I didn't experience it, but I read about it a lot. So what we say now, sometimes we don't want to hear it. We got to hear it. Someone said, I don't know who to give credit to yet, but I know they said change only comes through when truth is told loudly. You can't just know the truth and sit back. See, I'm from a silent generation, as I said before. I'm from the generation where you really couldn't speak the truth if you knew it. If the white man said it was green, you better say it green, you know it was red. But now we got another, you know, we do have an opportunity to speak truth to power. And it might affect us negatively, but maybe it won't get us hanged or whatever the case may be. So we got to really, you know, deal with that. I will be bringing information on every week like that, so you'll get a sense of what maybe we don't know. It may surprise you to say, really, that's what went on? Because I'm still surprised. My mom always said, if you don't learn something every day you hear, you ain't worth being here. So I learned something recently. I heard about the Alcatraz, what is that? Alligator Alcatraz? Alligator Alcatraz, and never connected to anything. And someone told me the history of the alligator and how it affected us as in slavery. They would take the alligator babies. They call them alligator baits. They would take the little babies, put them at the edge of the water there where the alligators apparently had some attraction to them. And so in my new book the children book that's going to be coming out soon, I want you all to keep your mind open to it. It said, what's in a word? I'm going to be listing a few of the expression that maybe some of us didn't know the meaning behind. Because the book, What's in a Word, actually is talking about the N-word and how that affects and what the implications behind that and what that came from. So there are going to be a few of those expressions that I will have on the book, not within the book for the kids, but on the book. Talking about, so we can reacquaint, we could not reacquaint because we didn't know. We can acquaint ourselves with some of the expressions that are going on now. I heard as I said before, I listen to this particular station all the time because it's really great people, but I'm just sure, just like most of us, we're just unaware. I heard the word MF. I mean,
they get bold.
They get bold and just repeat it. I heard that word came from the slave masters who would breed our people.
Yeah.
They didn't worry about who they were breeding.
No, they weren't.
They would breed sometimes the mother with the son.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's where the MF comes from.
Yeah.
So once we understand that and hear that and know that, maybe we'll stop using it. Just on general principle,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, that's enough of. They know I'll do that too, see, because I got to teach my people. Now, Norm, if I could just see who's listening, I'll appreciate it, and we'll go back to our poets and authors up here. Okay, Ann Chester, good evening to all in attendance. Good evening, Lloyd Shivers, hello, fella. Sheila Bird, good afternoon, villagers. Ann Chester, excellent poetry. Rashida Johnson, love. Dina Robbins, and good evening, family. I'm here. Okay, you all just keep listening, too. Just keep listening. Who is that up on Robert Cabbage Stock? Okay, just keep listening, and we appreciate it so much because we can't do it without you. Okay, now back to our guys up here. I want Ron to see if he has any other poetry for us.
Yes.
Yeah, I have one piece, but you threw me off.
Oh,
Because, see, I'm going to be honest with you. If I take a second, see, I try to get it, I stay into history.
uh-huh.
And when I learn something from the past, even as the piece you just had
that's
announced,
great. Yeah.
something went through me. And the sad part about it is today that so many fail to understand what the hell happened.
That's right.
Right.
And I use this term. I said, when I hear people say, well, Black Lives Matter, I said, when did Black Lives matter? Black lives have mattered the moment they stepped on the soil of Africa and shackled you.
Yes,
And
yes.
yet the only thing that's somewhat different is that they're not lynching you or raping you, but they're raping you mentally,
That's right.
and they're
That's right.
shooting
That's
you in
right.
the back.
Right.
right.
You see,
That's right.
and yet you walk around talk about Black Lives Matter. You're not free. But anyway, I didn't want to get off track.
Right.
But, you
No,
know,
that is
but
very
I
necessary.
digress.
No, it's no digression. That's part of what we'll have to all remember. I said we
That's
walk and
beautiful.
chew gum at the same time.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
While
yes,
we are
yes.
doing other things. I don't care where I am. I can be out there. What they call that? The fan, the dance, the new dance.
Boots
now.
on the ground.
Boots on the ground. I
Boots
can
on
be
the
doing
ground.
boots on the ground.
Yeah,
And
boots
someone
on
want
the
to
ground.
listen to what I have to say, I'll give them a few some information, you know, because we are woke people. So
That's
it's all
right.
combined. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, and we better in these times.
That's right.
Better let our people know what they're up against. And once we know what we're up against, to know how we can get through it.
Yes.
You know,
yes. That's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I have learned so much, and again, I know we don't have that much time, but let me. There's two things, and it's interesting because that came up, because I have a book here, Breaking the Curse of William Lynch.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and this is important,
Talked
and I
about
just
that.
want to read this one piece
Yeah,
as I
please
was listening
do.
to you and you shared that. And this is on page 29 of the book, chapter 3, Understanding Division. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guaranteed every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. And I said this, and we say it often on our podcast,
Yes.
because I also have another one that says 300 years to 1,000. That's unimaginable for somebody at that time and era. Give that long pathway, almost saying to the end of time, if you follow this pattern. And when you stop to think about it, in essence, in a lot of ways, even though a lot of white people may not understand it, but they follow what was laid out way back then. You don't kill your slaves, but this is what you do. You follow the plan. And then too many of us, as authors and writers and singers and poets, whatever case it be, athletes and whatnot, you're making money.
Yeah.
But you fail to realize who's controlling you.
Yes.
No matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
And you know, even to go back, and I'm gonna read my piece. 'Cause
Yeah. No, go on. That's what we need.
You know,
I tell you,
I
truth
say this all
to
the
power.
time, especially with sisters today. It's not about whether brother looked at you or touched whatnot, but look at what the slave master did to you. And
Yeah.
we couldn't blink an eye.
Yeah.
We couldn't bat an eye. And you had to come back out in the cotton field and continue to do.
Yeah.
And hymns came because of they were crying unto the Lord.
That's right. That's
See, hymns of the church came from the pain.
Yeah.
That's
You
right,
see,
you're right.
they didn't
Yeah.
just sit down and write a song. They came from the pain that they was instilled inside, and yet
Exactly.
they endure. And we are here today because of what they have endured.
Yeah.
And too
Yes,
many, to me,
yes.
insult our history by not even going back to think of where the hell you come from.
And that's a reason.
That's right,
Once
right,
I
right.
remember, I
Oh,
said
wow,
what
yes.
this podcast is here solely
Yes, yes.
for that purpose, to make us think. Whenever we know that there's something awry or that it's not normal for us to be feeling that way, think about 400 years or aside the thousands of years of our of coming to be the first human being. When we realized that the difference had to come over the 400 years.
That's right.
So then we got to then think about, well, why? What happened to us? And what I'm trying to
Yeah, of
promote
course, yeah,
on
yeah.
this podcast is that many of us, I call myself amateur, many of us don't know that, haven't absorbed that, it has not been defined in a way that we've grasped.
Yes, yes.
So what it's going to take, the same as I make the analogies about, I use the metaphors and about the virus and other things. You wouldn't just get anybody to explain it.
That's right. That's right.
It takes someone who studied it. Yeah, epidemiologist who studies that. They'll study it, that they will put it in a way that we, the lowly of us, will understand
That's
it.
right.
You know,
That's right.
wouldn't expect me when that virus came out to have any cure for you or any suggestion of cure. You would go where you think people have studied it. So if we use that as a metaphor or an analogy of where we came through back in slavery, we will say, okay, if we were brought over here the best in the world, and 400 years later, who we are, something better tell us, well, something must have happened.
Exactly.
And we stop right there, and without even blaming each other or accusing each other or whatever the case may be, we'll say it must have happened then. And since I don't have the expertise of the, to know
That's
how it
right,
happened,
yeah,
I better grab that Dr.
Yes.
DeGraw,
Yeah,
Post-Traumatic Slave Center. I better grab Dr. Francis Quest Welson.
That's right,
I
that's
better
right.
grab Dr. Henry Clark. I better
right,
grab those
that's
folks who have studied it in depth
Yes,
to
yes.
tell us what happened.
Yes.
But now, not just what happened. We can't just leave there. We got to tell us how now to cure it. Because
Yes.
if the virus had come out and just told us we were going to be, this is what happened and you're going to die, and didn't give us the vaccine, wouldn't be no problem. Why are you going to tell me if you don't have something to give me to cure it? So that's what I'm just taking your time. So you go on and tell us, finish telling us what you want to tell
Kind of
us.
smooth it down a little bit.
Well, that too. See, we do that, you know.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Here's one that, and this is give you an example. 'Cause Terry, this 2023 I think it was with Chico.
Yeah.
You know,
Our
he
buddy,
was a guest at the library,
Uh-huh.
and Terry was hosting this this program.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Chico, he was an author. He has since passed. God rest his soul.
Uh-huh.
But Terry come to me and break. He said, "Ron, can you write something?" And I was just getting over a cold or something.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "I don't know. Let me see." And so I just started scribbling something, whatnot. And then I get up there to the mic and I, put this together.
Okay.
And I said, as I recall, you never know when something hit you, something come out.
That's right.
So let me read this.
Okay.
Valentine,
Yes.
the heart of romance.
I remember.
Vow to love as the sun rises and the moon sets, where your radiant smile embellishes my soul glittering under the stars of night. Valentine, lend my soul 24/7, giving nothing but the support to embrace the warmth and gentleness of your soft and tender touch. Time, life is ours with nothing to spare and everything to gain in the journey. We will conquer a legacy with no end. A true story is written in our soul. Memories of our secrets are stored in the archives for future generations to unfold. Valentine, the heart of romance, Every moment, every day to love, a day to love, the day to remember, the day to say how much I love you. You are my Valentine, and I just want to say how much I love you. And
And
as
you
I
did that
remember.
spontaneously. You did that on the spur.
I knew he could do it. I knew he could do it.
Yes, he did. I tell you,
He
my
rose to the occasion.
rose to the occasion.
And at the time I was finishing, I could hear this voice in the audience said the exact same thing. And I love you.
Okay, all right.
It was-
That's
It was a
excellent.
beautiful moment, you know.
Yeah.
But it was
Uh-huh.
spontaneous. But again, it was authentic as well.
Very authentic. Yeah, well, that's great. We can rise to the occasion. Guys, you have anything else you want to talk about your podcast? I want to hear a little bit
Yeah,
about
I
your
want to make sure that I get the times right. Okay, we're on Thursday from 6 to 7 and Sunday from 5 to 6. Okay, and then we're on YouTube forever. So
Okay.
and just another note is that a lot of people who watch your program also watch our program.
Okay.
And I think that's because we're really on those different types of programs. We're bringing to our audience, we call them our community, you call them your villagers. We're bringing to them the things that we're learning as we go along, because we're big advocates of healthy aging and lifelong learning.
Right,
And so I'm glad that they enjoy you, and I'm glad they enjoy us.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I keep saying, I say we multitask. We can walk and chew
That's
them at the
right,
same
we can,
time.
we
We
can.
do all the things. It's all about living.
It
you know,
is.
a full life.
It
you know,
is.
we
It
got to
is.
go through the ups and downs and the turmoil, but we're gonna live in spite of it. In spite of what that crazy man is doing out there. I just learned that always trying to give information as I go along.
Yes, yes.
There's something I think he has what you call it Washington D.C.
Yeah.
What is the word for it? Put a lot of those policemen in on the streets of Washington.
Yeah, National Guard.
National Guard.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is he?
it's
What is
crazy.
it? What does he call himself doing? I can't recall now what it is. But yeah, he's done that. He promised he was going to do it, and you know he's doing it. And there are other things that he will be doing that we're going to be got to be conscious of. And as our brother, our dear ancestor Joe Madison always said, "What you going to do about it?"
That's right.
So that's one of the things we have to be conscious of, that we got to have a response
We have to.
to what's happening with us. And it's just not about us, more specifically about our children, grandchildren that coming along.
Exactly.
They are going to be in some real mess if things not straighten out and we don't try to do something about our situation here now. But we will.
We will.
As always, we will do what we need to do. Now, I just want to remind my people, my villagers, if you like what you see and if you think that we should continue, I want you to share. I want you to like. I want you to just be conscious and invite your friends to watch the show, because that's how we maintain ourselves. And they talk about this algorithm or something going on. If you like and you share, I don't know a lot about it, but I do know it affected in some way, and I know it's positive if if it goes the right way. So be sure you share, you like, if you think it's needed. But too, what we're doing here, we can always donate. You know, you can do a Zelle, Cash App, $ Ruby Shivers. And I always say the old-fashioned way, but until I can find a mail address that you're going to mail it to, I'll just leave that be. Just Zelle and Cash App. We appreciate it so much. Now, you guys, I am just so feel blessed to have you two on here.
Thank you.
I watch your show and other folks do, and I'm always so inspired. Particularly with the poem, the poetry just keep coming, and that's a great thing. So what either one of you want to say what you got coming up in the near future?
Well, just quickly, basically, we have poets coming on, some poets that are new to the scene. We're going to bring them on, or we get into some political stuff. We're going to bring some people on who talk to politics. But the whole thing, when we say poetically speaking, is just a wide view of what's going on right now. So think poetically speaking, think of et cetera, and so on.
Okay.
You know, and we trying to keep it within the boundaries of not going left or right, where it becomes harsh or raw or whatnot. But we try to be straight up.
Right.
You know, recognizing the quality and the art of conversation, the flavor of each individual.
That's right.
You know, that not only that we bringing them inspiration, but they're inspiring us too.
That's right.
And that's what it's all about. Because a flower can't grow when there's harsh vibes around it. You know, when there's harmony,
Right.
then everything blossoms. And that's what we tried to do.
That's true.
Yeah, well, good. I'm so glad to have you all on. I'm going to leave my villagers with this message in mind. You know, I always say I have reached out to my white sisters. I said, woman to woman, what's wrong with your men? I do that purposely, deliberately, and intentionally because we've always had to account for our men, which was nothing wrong with our men except slavery. Whatever happened to them was a result. So now we're going to demand that you tell us, if you can, you raised them, you birthed them,
That's right.
you raised them, and now you support them. What's wrong with your men? In any group of people, there's going to be negativism within that group. But with most group, they're just a small amount of people within the group. But with your group, it's just the opposite. The majority of your men, is something wrong with them because it comes like from Trump down. I don't know any one of our men in our groups, and I don't just mean the African American, any group, that when you get to that level, you don't have a sense of responsibility or something. But what Trump is doing is so outside of anything any human being can do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to put it to you. What's wrong with you, man? You may need to think about it. Maybe you never thought about it. It never came to you. But something got to be wrong if your group of your men, one thing, and I'm going to leave this, most people, most groups, most men love women and children.
Yes.
They just do. Love women and children. So they, except if something wrong with them, they will never be able to rape. They will never be able to lynch. They will never be able to, whatever. But what you all did to us is unconscionable. And it's not to be poo-pooed, it's to be studied. What's wrong with the group of men that continue to do that? And now that we hear what Trump and those are going through with the pedophile, you can expect that from that group of men.
That's right.
And that's unreal. You don't generally get that from the level of, well, anyway, let me go. It's time to go. But to the extent that my villagers just keep that in mind, we're going to keep teaching because we need to hear that in order for us to regain what had happened to us, what had been taken away from us. With that, I'm going to say God bless and keep the village going.
Yes, yes, yes.